Yeah, that's what I said.
Yes, it really is. Oh, man. So they did it.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and go over the agenda real quick while they're still on their way. So the topics, some talk about some data, and I decided to go with teacher retention for the focus of the meeting, and so and then I'll explain what the GBFSS is. And then we'll look at some observation forms and then look at maybe how do we change those forms to better match the focus. And on the get better, faster scope and sequence, the GBFF or GBFSS, I highlighted just two of the parts of that I think would be beneficial for new teachers specifically. And so that's where I'd like to focus and then go from there. So if you want to get a highlighter at some point, more than welcome, there's some on the table. And so why did the meeting? Is really just to create a form, right? An observation form that's based on specifically those two things. The forms that already exist, as well as the focus of the four components on the get better, faster scope and sequence. And so what are we gonna be doing in that? Well, we're gonna be looking how observations can help retain teachers and allow teachers to grow. I think observations can do that really well if there is a good like feedback system. And so the why did I pick this? Because I was looking at our campus and I was trying to think of things that we could look at, and I noticed that there's 41 teachers on staff, but like 10 of them are 2 years and below. Not total experience, but 2 years on this campus or less. And there's several already gonna be replaced in the next year as well. And then there's 11 paraprofessionals on campus, but 7 of them are new. So there's a whole lot of new teachers to this campus, and I'm included in that. And so I thought that was something that would be beneficial to look at, because that's like a 25% rate, and it's pretty high rate. And so yeah. I think that's good enough for that. So the get better, faster scope and sequence is something that I'm not 100% sure if it was by Harvard, but the place where I found it online was from the Harvard website. And I've highlighted like 2 in each category in phase 1 and 2 in each category in phase 2. And so what I'd like you to do is read over those 4 and look at them for just a minute and kind of get familiar with those 4 on the phase 1 and the 4 on phase 2. And then after that, we'll look at some of the observation forms and try to identify where those things can be found in the observation forms. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So maybe 2 minutes or so. Thank you for being here. I would have had food, but I knew we already got food.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking of my like new teachers. But even myself, when I was going over these, the first time I highlighted some things and I was like, I definitely probably should work on that. So.
rubric, is that what you said? Or not yet?
Yeah, so, we'll give maybe 30 more seconds, to just kind of look over it. And I went ahead, and highlighted one thing on the T-test rubric. So the first rubric is the rubric that our school uses now, which is straight from T-test. And it has all of the different domains already laid out. There's a copy of the T-test rubric there. And so 1.4, was one that I said, well, that matches some of the stuff on the get better, faster, stronger, get better, faster scope and sequence, because it was engaging lesson plan, flexible lessons that encourage higher order thinking, and that was like the basic phase 1, 1 and 2. Phase 1, 1 and 2 is that idea of dimension 1.4. So as an example, I highlighted that because that would be kind of what I'm looking at. How can we take what's in here and match it to what already is existing in the different forms? Does that make sense? And we don't have to do it in silence. We can kind of look at these together. But if you notice on this thing, two sides, one side is classroom management and the other side is like instruction driven.
Okay.
So, that kind of helps. So like dimension 2 is about instruction. So you would think that maybe some of these rigor trajectories would be in dimension 2 or domain 2, sorry. And then you would think since domain 3 is learning environment, that the management trajectory would be more focused in domain 3. So it would take, I don't know, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and we just kind of looked over some of the T-test stuff. If you need it, it's here printed. And then we can kind of talk as we go. If you identify something, or if you think.
It goes with the highlighted
Yeah.
things.
So what matches from this to this?
So phase 1, domain 1. is it-
So they're not equal. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
It's just, T-test does it in domains, and then the get better, faster scope and sequence is not really written in the same way. It's just kind of written as a stepping stone process of management and a stepping stone process of rigor.
Okay.
So it's not quite the same.
But these are mostly in domain, aligned with domain 2 or domain
The side, the rigor would be domain.
Can we write
2. Sure. Keep it. And then the left side would be mostly aligned with domain 3. Question?
Yes. Do you want us to write down
Yeah, sure.
descriptors, or do you want us to write things from here that would fit in those areas based on the descriptors?
Yes, you can write like, so for example, if you, in this one, it says teachers use, supports all learners in the pursuit of high levels of academic and social emotional success is 2.1. And then let's see. I think phase 2, 4, independent practice is something that can help learners in the pursuit of high success. So I should have brought some more pens as well. I didn't think about highlighting. So like phase 2. .4. And some of them won't be there, right? Some of these won't be there because some of these like differentiation, monitor and adjust
Mhm.
aren't specifically defined in those first 4.
Yeah.
Right, so. If you find something, great, but it may not be in. 30 more seconds. I know this isn't, it's a little quick, but that's okay. We have to look at multiple things. Okay. So. Okay, what did you find in here that's on there? You have a few things written down, this person.
I was just writing down, like, under content knowledge and expertise, I was looking at the phase one. And the second part of internalizing existing lesson plans, because it all focuses so much on I do.
Yeah.
And that would be part of, like, the T-test rubric, because you're conveying your knowledge in multiple contexts, you're also anticipating possible student misunderstandings, and then you'd be meeting those. Parts of the of the rubric by doing the I do's.
Yeah. I also put 1 by 1,
Mhm.
same, section.
Okay.
And then for achieving expectations on 2.1, I put, the phase 2 rigor number 4, the independent practice. Because it's specifically, that section is not talking about the level of the independent practice, but it's talking about having the expectation of a daily independent practice. The kids know this is what I'm going to do every day, and then meeting the standard that you set for that. That was something that when I was reading over this the first time, I was like, man, Canvas will make that very easy for a lot of people to do, like a warm up and an exit ticket. So I think that's something that can be implemented really easily, and it'd be already graded without having to do extra grading for next year.
I can't remember where this is at, but I remember reading something about going over it again. Like do it, oh, here it is, on phase 2.2. Seems to me like that would go along with 2.3, because
Oh, yeah,
it's talking about to be clearly communicate support, persistence, deeper learning, and effective effort. So if you're managing them, do it again. You're making sure that they understand it.
yeah,
I also put in under mantra adjust 2.5. Because when you're talking and you're narrating positive, you're creating You have teacher radar, she's making adjustments in case kids are off task, doing it again, like she just said. You're just kind of monitoring the tone of the class and you need to make adjustments.
Okay, so for the sake of time, we'll have to go to the next one. So the next one is, the next observation form.
Oh.
It's a walkthrough form, but it's designed to be very fast. It's something that I found that I thought was interesting. It's for people to come in, get these things and leave. And so it's 3-minute classroom walkthrough form. And so I just want to see if what questions here that are being asked are addressed by those same topics. So. For the rigor part, the only thing that is connected to students in the first 4 or so is the independent practice, and so what are students doing? That might be tied into the 2.4 rigor trajectory.
I put 1.1 on number 2. Because what they're doing, that could come with the routine and procedures that you're following.
Okay.
And same for number 1. And like 1.2 on the
With the strong
second set.
voice.
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
I kind of feel like 1.2 kind of weave in with 1.5, because if you're using. You're speaking with purpose, you're using that strong voice, it's going to. Keep them engaged, keep them attentive, and
Yeah.
cut down on disruptive behavior.
And also the routines and practices.
Yeah. And then the lesson plan would be 1.1 and 1.2, like on the other side.
I've just been putting R and M for.
Oh, okay.
Management and rigor. Maybe 3 can be on materials, uh. 2 rigor trajectory, 2.3. Exemplars, so if you're showing students, that can be other materials that are being used,
Mhm.
and.
I don't, like, I was looking at number 4, how students interacting with each other. That could fall under independent practice, maybe depending on what the lesson is. They're independently cooperative learning, maybe.
Because it does say, giving students those writing tasks to complete prior to a class discussion. So
Yes.
everybody's gonna be talking.
Yeah,
Could be leading to, discussion.
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead.
Oh, sorry, number 4, routines and procedures, I put, phase 1, management one, which was set routines, set expectations. How the students interact with each other, cooperate, have a conversation, set an expectation from the very beginning. What behaviors may.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll go to the next one. I know it's kind of a quick, but, we got, we'll get our stuff in a few minutes, so. The next one is just a checklist, so this one, is a little bit different because you just put a plus or a minus in that last column. And it's specifically focused on, teaching behavior, and then it's broken into lesson, environment, delivery, media. So it's, looks a little bit different, but where can we see those few things?
I think the objective one would fall under the develop a effective lesson plan. There was somewhere, I can't remember where it was reading, but it may be under this one where it talked about be specific in your learning objectives. I can't remember where that was, where that was at.
What to do, it's like give instructions in as few words as possible. It's, you know,
I saw that one.
think, phase two, routines and procedures would be helping students know what they already know. Like doing it again and then stopping whenever they have got that down.
Find new terms before using them, put the phase two management one. Precise language.
Communicate a clear scheme, it's gonna be strong voice as well as the, phase two one as well. For the management side.
The part where it says, breaks down ideas into complex parts. I think that kind of falls under the short, precise instructions. If you look at it from like, okay, we're gonna do this short, precise to break down the complexity of what's being taught. Maybe even the rigor 2.4, because you're breaking down the steps, like first they're gonna write about it and talk about it. Then they're gonna do a daily prompt and then like that, I mean, it's kind of loosely fitting.
Phase two, one on the management is, checking for understanding, 6 checks for understanding, target questions or activities. So, I'm just checking for understanding, in the instructions and help students get through the activities in a easier way.
And maybe the 4.1 again, because it talks about, where did it go? 15. I mean, it's kind of, because it talks about, you're pulling from the knowledge from the previous
Yep.
day.
And the exit ticket as well. 23 easily heard, strong voice, so phase 1, 2, you know. And same thing with enunciation.
And part of the one about pacing, it's, to me falls under, the lesson plan part.
Okay.
Because it says to know your lesson well, build timestamps into your lesson plan and follow them.
Yeah. So, after reading some of this stuff, and Canvas, the notes that I'm creating for next semester. Almost every lesson has like a section where it's like, okay, you've got 30 seconds to do this, go do this. And then you've got 15 seconds to do this, you've got 3 minutes to do this. Because I don't know, it gives them a sense of urgency.
Yeah, and plus it can cut down that behavior side of it because they don't have as much time to mess around.
That is true.
Anything else?
I had on 20, the management of the firm 1.2, that strong voice.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, the last one is, I thought it would be interesting to find the different states, kind of T-test equivalent.
Mhm.
So this is New Jersey's T-test equivalent. And so they have 3 categories where we have 5, exceptional, proficient, and needs improvement. I still hate that word. But, so same idea, which of these pieces in this kind of, and the way that they would do it is they would circle the one that matched the teacher. So, this one is gonna be more, matching ideas with things because it doesn't give, specific details in the boxes.
Okay.
But it's more matching ideas and then, so it's a little bit different for this one.
so for like number 2, subject matter, I would say rigor 2.1, I mean 1.1.
What, so like lesson objectives,
Yeah,
phase 1, 1,
Yeah,
and
maybe also, 1.4, or sorry, phase 2 for rigor as well. The independent practice. And also probably 2.3 rigor, so, having an exemplar for the students to look at.
um. And 2.4 for number 3. Where it talks about developmentally appropriate practice.
And then also to, phase 2 for rigor for lesson beginning, with activities in the beginning.
And I think even the lesson planning ones go with that one too.
Yeah, so 1.1
Mhm.
rigor.
Lesson activities. And what that would be.
I think that, routines and procedures can also be in the lesson activities.
Yeah,
Because if they know the procedures well, then they're more likely to be on task.
and again, I think the lesson plan part goes with that as well. Because they have to be appropriately developed in the lesson plan to make them work in the classroom. Effectiveness of communication would seem to me fall under management, the strong voice and the routines.
Yeah, so 1.2 and 2.1.
Differentiated instruction, may fall under the one where it says to do it again. Which is management 2.2.
Okay. And I think managing transitions would be 2.2 routines and procedures. So building that into the procedures and you know, making sure that they understand the procedure. And you've done it over and over again until you're like, okay, you know, this is how we transition from A to B.
Right?
And that could also be 1.1.
Mhm. That's right.
Pacing to me falls under that lesson plan, the timing thing, the 2. Probably both, 2. The rigor 1.1 and 1.2. Where it talks about effectively. Or really maybe just 2.2 or 1.2. Where they have to do the timestamps. And that would also to me go under 15. 1.2 rigor, because you're managing your instructional time by following that pacing. And the assessment would kind of be like your ticket, your exit ticket.
Yeah.
Which was that phase
The 2.
2.4, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys coming and, if you think of anything else, feel free to find me or send me an email. And I will show you afterward what I end up making from this. For the,
Can I keep this?
yeah, you can keep it.
It's put together. But it's easy to look at.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
Do
And
we keep this folder?
Also, then you need the
yeah, no,
laptop for your,
oh, yes, sorry, I need the 4 observation things that we wrote on. You can keep the rest.
you know,
I didn't get all of the things on there.
Okay.
yeah, I didn't get all of it.
I really appreciate your help.
No problem, anytime.
Thank you.
Very good information.
Yeah, I really like the get better, faster, strong, or
Yeah, I like
better,
that.
faster scope and sequence. It was in one of the books we had to read.
I feel like it's specific enough to help you know you're implementing it correctly. It's like
Yeah.
specific instead of very vague. Sometimes that stuff gets really vague, like